The doctor came in and said, we've done everything we can. I've done everything I can. His heart is working against us.
Graduation Day. It's a rite of passage for thousands of teenagers across the country each year. But JJ and his family have far more to celebrate on this night than his high school graduation. They're thankful he's simply alive. JJ's mother, Laura Matchnick, tells Inside Edition Digital how she almost lost her son.
It was weird because that morning, he never wakes up. I mean, he could sleep through the house falling down and he'd still stay sleeping. And he left me a note the night before to asking me to wake him up at 7 a.m. because he was going to go work out. So I went in his room and he's like, I'm already awake, which was so weird. And he was up and I was like, all right, bud, love you. Have a great day. Good luck in AC because he was wrestling that afternoon, supposed to wrestle. And I just got into work and then the phone rings and it's Marlena. And I had checked to make sure he got up, that he didn't fall back asleep. And I saw that he had got to their house at like 7:34. And when she called me and I heard her voice and she said, you have to get to my house as fast as you can. JJ passed out in the treadmill. And I just remember saying, does he have a pulse? Yes, he has a pulse. Just get here as fast as you can.
A few years earlier, when he was 14, JJ was diagnosed with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Cardiologist Dr. Matthew Martinez explains.
His condition is that his heart is too thick compared to everybody else. And that can either lead to a stiffening of the heart muscle, which allows it to become inefficient in pumping blood, or that the heart is thicker and there's a valve problem that goes with it, and we call that obstructive. And the name of the condition is hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. It's a common cause of sudden death amongst people, and it is a common cause of sudden death amongst athletes as well. It's not the only cause for sure, but it is definitely one of the more common causes. And that abnormal thickness leads to the muscle developing scar tissue, and we think that scar tissue leads to an electrical instability. And when the electricity of the heart goes, quote, haywire, then you need only one thing to get it back into rhythm, and that's a shock.
It was definitely scary because we were told he couldn't run, he couldn't ride his bike until the tests were done. And he's an extremely active child since he was little. Like, I would pray that he would sit for 20 minutes and play something on a video game. He's like, I want to go outside. With him being so athletic, what was he going to do? Like, What do we do next? Does he play guitar? Do we put him in golf? It was more about his mental well-being. I was just all over. I was in space for a while. I mean, it was, it's life-changing.
The family met with Dr. Matthew Martinez at Morristown Medical Center in New Jersey.
We know there's a risk. We understand that, but I still need facts. I need somebody to be clear with me to say, he absolutely should not do this. Like, the first thing we asked about the defibrillator when he got it, can he go skydiving? I promised I would take him skydiving. He's like, absolutely. It's silly, but these are questions that I know him. Life goes on. What can we do?
Dr. Martinez explained to me you can still do sports and have this heart condition, it's really okay.
Following his diagnosis, it seemed like things were going well for JJ.
His heart did have a slight scarring. So every annual appointment, I would be driving here going, okay, I hope nothing's changed because then we're okay. The wall would get a little thicker. And then this year it was a slight scarring. And then he had to go back for a stress test. So it's always the worry.
Things, however, took a turn on May 10th. JJ woke up early and went to a friend's house to work out.
I remember the story and people I have pictures on my phone from the night before it happened. And then because the night before I was in a steam room, my other friend's house, and I was losing weight or whatever for wrestling, and I was in a steam room. And then I took a picture of myself when I got out of the steam room because I was really dehydrated and skinny. I don't even remember going home or going to sleep or nothing, or even waking up the next day and going to the Hodgins house.
I was upstairs. Giovanni was just hanging out on his phone, and JJ was running on the treadmill. After me and Giovanni realized that he wasn't really breathing anymore.
JJ suddenly went into cardiac arrest. Luckily, his friend Trevor knew what to do in this situation.
One of my good buddies, he's CPR certified.
I was trained with my dad, not because of JJ's connection, actually because of one of our close family friends had a pulmonary embolism, and his wife saved him with CPR. So after that, my dad was like, he just taught all of us.
In this situation, there was only one person that could have helped me, and he did.
Trevor performed CPR until emergency responders arrived at the home. His mother, meanwhile, got in touch with JJ's family. She is still in awe of her son's response.
Because everyone's doing well and JJ is doing tremendous, we could not be prouder of Trevor for being able to, not only just be calm in the situation, but also be able to perform CPR on somebody he knows very well. He's known JJ for probably 10 years, being on the same wrestling team. So being able to keep his composure, because I was yelling at him because I was on the phone with 911 and they kept asking me if he was breathing. So I was, very panicked, and he was great.
Things did not look good at first for JJ.
Being at Central State was very scary because he still didn't have a heart rate yet. They couldn't get his heart to be steady. The doctor came in and said, we've done everything we can. I've done everything I can. His heart is working against us. And then he walked out of the room because obviously he was busy trying to work on him, but he wanted to at least say something to us as parents. And Jeff and I just looked at each other and we didn't say anything. We looked at each other and we both were like, I know what we were thinking, but what will we tell him? Be strong, because that's what we do. And then 10 minutes later, he came back and said, I'm a little more optimistic. His heart rate is steady and his blood pressure is going up.
The care before he came to Morristown, I should highlight two stations. One was by his friends, that they were very young. In the time of stress, no one keeps a timer. No one knows that how, everyone panics. They're not professionals, right? They say, oh, if someone was down for 2 minutes, you figure out it was 200 minutes. Or they say, oh, he was down for 200 minutes, you figure out it's 10 minutes. That it's always for us a huge margin of error. The other one is the quality of CPR, because how they got the heart back and how much of a blood perfusion they could perform with a very proper CPR. And guess what? We have the results. They did a fantastic job, these kids, and they resuscitated him.
From there, things started to turn around for JJ.
Yeah, he had visitors in the hospital when he didn't even know he had visitors, when he was still not awake. It wasn't until he woke up and was coming back to himself that we kind of put the kibosh on people coming up, just because he, it's a lot for him. We still hadn't told him yet. We were telling the doctors, just don't say anything. We didn't tell him yet what happened as he was, coming to, because every day for the first couple of days, we had to keep reminding him, because the medicine and the brain's waking up.
When I woke up and I was in the hospital, it's kind of weird actually. Didn't break a bone or I was sick or anything. I just woke up and slowly came off the medication and came back to myself, and it just felt weird because it didn't feel like anything even happened.
Just a week after going into cardiac arrest, JJ was able to celebrate his 19th birthday.
When he got out of CCU and was in a regular room, his friends came up and the nurse let them all walk to the family waiting area. So he's in his robe, his Hollow Rebels robe with his friends, and they were all just standing around talking. And that was probably the most he stood, since before this happened, because he was standing up with them for almost an hour and a half, just talking in a circle. So it was nice to see some normalcy from him while we were there.
And I was back to myself.
JJ started walking and doing some physical and occupational therapy. He even got to visit with friends, including Trevor. 2 weeks after his cardiac arrest, JJ was back home.
We didn't feel like we were there for 13 days. The days went into the nights, but he did wake up and he didn't even remember prom. So I was like, you're going to prom. He's like, oh, prom. So it was we had to remind him of things as he was waking up, and then he was at prom.
In early June, JJ attended his prom.
It was a great time. First like event, I guess you could call it, like back with my friends. It was fun.
And 2 weeks after that, JJ was graduating with his class. Now he is looking towards the future.
Now I really just found out about 10 minutes ago that I can go back to the gym. That'll definitely increase my activity. I've been to the beach a few times. Like I've been outside, kind of not like crazy physical activity, but still moving around, not just laying in my bed.
This is something that it's life altering, but who cares about being different? You were made with a little more TLC than other people. There's nothing wrong with you.
This is Inside Edition Digital.